AM 1280 News Talk. KIT 813. Politics continues. Local flavor. Who do we send to Olympia to represent the Valley? 13th, 14th, 15th districts. And the folks who would represent us on a parade through over the next few days. Incumbent position number 1 in the 15th district is Bruce Chandler. He is a skilled veteran of the political wars. He has the scars to prove it, although judicial application of makeup, no one knows. You never know. You never see. Bruce in the studio. Bruce, good to see you. We tease you and mess with you because you are just an everyday kind of guy. It's not that we don't have full respect for you, because we do, and you know that. But you are a man of the people, man. You're approachable, and you're always fun to visit with. You always give us straightforward, candid answers. This is in your blood. You bleed for the Valley. You know how important it is to have our strong representation over there, and you've always done a great job. So I want to get that sucking up out of the way, okay?
Well, I appreciate that.
Okay, very good.
I don't hear that. My kids are all grown and gone, and I can't get them to do that
do the same thing.
You don't even live in his district.
I know. That's why it's pure.
That's all right. We still give them a ballot.
This is a pure assessment.
He marks it up
Don't
anyway.
say that. Well, let's talk about you a little bit. For those folks who are new to the Valley and maybe moved in, don't know the background, your business life, family, that sort of thing. Tell us a little bit about Bruce Chandler.
Now, Bruce, remember, we only have 15 minutes, buddy.
Yeah, so.
Well, it takes longer every year when I talk to
Another
you
chapter to
tell
add,
it.
yeah.
But I've came to the Yakima Valley at Christmas Eve in 1984. Moved my family here. And I've been in the fruit business for about 35 years, mostly as a grower. But I've also worked as a field man, working with packing houses and seeing the packing, the shipping, and marketing part of it too. And it's been a great life. I've been really blessed. And 3 kids that grew up here and went to school in Zilla. All of them graduated. All of them went to school afterwards. And I'm real proud of them. They've been a real blessing of mine, gift in my life. So I owe a lot to the Valley. It's true.
Well, and you signed on and put in a lot of hours of service above and beyond the couple of month sessions here and there. We know that you work stuff year round. So as you look back on this past session, I've asked everybody who's come through what kind of grade do they give the legislature in its current construct and how it's done the last couple of years. What's your take?
Well, last session I think was it was frustrating and it was a disappointment. The one reason was that for the most part, once we got about 2 weeks into it, the traditional legislative process broke down, and one example of that is that on the budget, the conference committee, which is the 4 caucuses,
right,
never met.
They never did.
And I saw the budget we finally voted on at the end. I saw it 40 minutes before it was banged in introduced in the floor and as an amendment, and that was kind of how it went.
Not exactly the full-throated, transparent process that the people of Washington deserve, huh?
Not at all, and I think that it's partly a sign of I think of the times that we have a 1-vote difference where the Democrats have a 1-vote majority in the House, they have a 1-vote majority in the Senate, and so it's and I think that kind of reflects the mood that I've found in communities all over the state, but even here in Central Washington, people are frustrated and they're dissatisfied. They aren't sure who to shoot, but
they want to shoot somebody.
Yeah.
Bruce, besides the big things that get in the newspaper, McCleary,
and on the radio, by the way,
and on the radio,
media guy,
McCleary, Hearst, those kind of mental health, that kind of thing. Were there any victories brought home to the Valley in the legislative session that maybe don't make it in the headlines?
I think most of them got the headlines. I mean, I think the McCleary resolution was. I wouldn't hold my breath. I mean, I when people ask, I'm not convinced.
Is it done?
That it will ever be done. I mean, that is a 45-year-old judicial process that has had 3 different names already. And
one of them hasn't been Aquavella, has it? Because that's another classic,
well,
right? That goes on forever.
Yeah. It's usually the same template as water law. Yeah. But I think I have no doubt that there are people looking at the court ruling and at the legislation that passed and trying to find a way to make a new argument for it. But that's the way it is, and it is. It's the biggest thing that we do, the state government does in the state. It affects every single community and every single family, directly or indirectly. And so I think that, it's not entirely a bad thing to always have it be real prominent in people's minds, because it's a massive undertaking. And I think that we made a lot of progress. And I think that we conformed the definition of education and the priority of the budget priority of education with the constitutional mandate. So
we talked with Representative Manweller the other day in his race up in the 13th and mentioned the Janus decision and what that might do to the WEA and how that might affect their effectiveness and all of that. What's your take on the mandatory union obligation have been taken away, both in education and for state employees? You have any thoughts on that at this point?
Well, I think that inevitably the courts would could not avoid finding that employees should have a right to choose whether they belong to a union or not, and I think that I do think that it may not have as dramatic a consequence as some people might expect. I do think that it'll be interesting to see how many people decide that they want to go a different direction, and I do think that it is a challenge for labor leaders. But they're like I am as a state legislator, that you need to get the approval, and the you need to get the endorsement of employees in order to
you have to earn the vote.
Relevant.
They've got to earn the union vote, right?
Yeah.
Is it Schessler? Schessler. He has been critical of the governor for not really having any sort of plan for state employees who want out and how that's going to affect things. Do you guys kick that around in email or anything like that amongst the legislators, or is that just sort of his bone that he's chewing on right now?
Well, actually, after the session, there's a period of time when legislators don't talk to each other.
Cooling off period? Is
that and getting reacquainted with the reality of life.
Yeah.
And that takes a few weeks. And
sure.
And so I think that people are probably waiting to see. Right now, the labor groups are entering negotiations with the governor. He'll have a budget proposal out in October, and we'll see if he takes that ruling into account or not.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Bruce, sometimes the state issues or issues that affect the state, they're federal issues, so you don't have much of a say in the state legislature about them, but they affect state issues. And we had a dust-up not too long ago about the Department of Licensing asking about and compiling information and providing it to the feds regarding people's immigration status when they attempted to get a driver's license. And of course, Governor Inslee was very strong coming out. He wasn't aware of that, and they weren't following the guidelines that have been set down. Is there something that the legislature can do to act to protect us in that way? I mean, doesn't it make sense that you would want to inquire about someone's legal status if you're going to give them a driver's license in Washington State?
Well, the legislature can pass legislation, which is a direction to state agencies to do certain specific things. and then the agencies will pass rules, and the administrative rules is what they call it, and then so it's kind of it goes through the legislature, then the agency does what it feels it needs to do, and then the legislature has the authority to direct the agency to change its rules or to conform with things, it could be a frustrating experience for both sides.
But is there an oversight committee sort of set up for agencies? Is that how it works, or is it the legislature as a whole?
It's the legislature as a whole,
Okay.
and it would be depending on what the issue is. It could end up in any virtually any committee.
Yeah. Okay.
What kind of things are on the radar? What in this next legislative session for you? What's important? What one or two things would you like to see get done that we think would be positive for the Valley?
Well, I think that I believe that we've been really blessed with an extraordinary, almost unprecedented economic cycle over the last decade, and the state has prospered from that. The state government has, and local governments have. I don't think they always feel that way, but memory's a funny thing. But I think that for me, I think it's time for the working families of the state to be able to participate in the prosperity too. It's not going to last forever, and I think that it's a chance for people to kind of get a leg up on their standard of living and the quality of life, and we need to let them take advantage of that. And
What's the
not
best
be an
vehicle to do
obstacle.
that? Like we rearrange property taxes based on McCleary. We take a second look at that. Half a cent sales tax rollback. I mean, what's the way that we allow people to take advantage of our?
Well, there's been some controversy about the current budget takes money out of the budget stabilization account, which is somewhat hedging, and I mean it's kind of creating an anticipation that the economy may shift in the near future. But I think that if we withdraw money from the emergency rainy day fund, that the best way to do that is a tax reduction, or to pay down probably property taxes, but it could be wherever we feel we get the broadest benefit. And another priority for me is that I think that it's about time to take another look at the Growth Management Act. It's been with us for almost 2 generations now, and it was actually designed intentionally to draw growth into urban areas and away from rural areas.
Consolidate, right?
To preserve things the way they were at the time. And I think that needs that rural communities need an opportunity to compete with cities for business and industry, and
We need a little more room to be able to do that, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Kind of sort of the backfill is filled. Let's now give us some elbow room so that we can go on to the next phase. I think that's a good point. Yeah, are you at all excited about what might come from children, youth, and families as its own department? That's kind of just really getting rolling. You have any thoughts on that, or is that outside your?
Yeah, well, I expect to continue to be the caucus leader on the budget and the spending part of the budget, at the very least, and I do think that we see a lot of potential for that department to do more, to get better results, and actually do it for less expense. And I think it has a good director, and it's off to a good start. But we have a lot of work to do in terms of foster kids and child services across the state. We could do a better job. It really varies pretty significantly across the state. And
I'm going to name drop my sister-in-law, Shannon Love. She's involved with a group called Fostering Change, and they work with Tom Dent and others in this new department. And so she's got 3 beautiful foster kids right now, and talking adoption. So it's pretty close to my life. And I guess of all the things that legislature has done in recent times, is kind of pulling kids together for a focus made sense to me, and I really hope that it does what it needs to do and gets the results that our young kids deserve. So
yeah, I'm very encouraged at what it's done so far, and I think it will. It's an opportunity to lend support to foster parents for a change.
Right. You're stuck in an elevator with Richard and me.
I was just the other day.
I was going to say that's. I don't wish that on anybody, but here's a chance for the traditional elevator speech, where you convince Richard and I in 40 seconds about why we need to send you back. What would you say to the voters out there, Bruce?
Well, I'm really honored, and I've been humbled to be able to represent the Valley for up to now, and I believe that we have the future may very well be for the whole state be here in Central Washington, where we have strong communities, and we have communities that believe in families, and they believe in children, and they believe in the values that give us the best chance at prospering in the future. And I want to continue to be a part of that.
Bruce, we appreciate your service for these past terms and wish you best of good luck. Obviously, there's two of you running, so we'll have you back again a little closer to the general election and maybe spend some more time, poke around a little bit more on how the campaign's going and the issues out there. But again, thanks for all your time on behalf of Yakima Valley in the past,
thanks.
and best of good luck to you.
It's been my honor to do it.
You're tuned to The Source. Fox News coming up next here on News Talk 1280 KIT.